Our Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, went AWOL. It begs the question, can our military and our commanders still actually keep us safe? For our shameless plug this week, any of you guys who are interested in shooting, if you're into firearms but you're not sure what equipment to have, our warriorpoetsociety.com website, warriorpoetsociety.com, has all this range kit of holsters and shot timers and fix-it tools, eye pro, ear pro, range bags, war belts, all the stuff that you might want for shooting. Make sure you check out warriorpoetsociety.com and get some hand-picked, curated stuff by yours truly that you're going to want. All right, guys, I'm going to give you a quick synopsis of what happened regarding our Secretary of Defense. Then we're going to talk about why it really matters for you and I. The timeline is important, so pay attention. On December 22nd, Austin checked into a hospital for what all the media called a minor elective procedure. And I just found out today, I think the first report came out maybe a day or two ago, that it was actually prostate cancer. Prostate cancer. Ben, is that a minor elective surgery to you?
Brother, that is not a minor elective surgery to me.
Under Commander-in-Chief, Secretary of Defense, if he has cancer, he's a 70-year-old man battling cancer, I would like to know about that. Now, I get the idea of like, well, maybe from a national security standpoint, it isn't good to advertise to the whole world of like, hey, our geriatric Secretary of Defense is battling cancer, and now he's in the hospital for weeks due to complications, which is what ended up happening. And then, by the way, when he was out, nobody knew he was out, making him AWOL. That's absent without leave or absent without notice. And so he was literally technically AWOL. This is tremendously embarrassing, and I understand why we wouldn't want to air this to the rest of the world. But if that is the case, yeah, maybe from a national security standpoint, don't air it to the rest of the world, but quietly and unceremoniously and immediately replace him with somebody. And then you can handle the PR a little bit later, but you need to have somebody who is fit, ready for service to be able to defend the millions and millions of Americans that are counting on our top brass and our military to be able to defend us from all enemies, foreign and domestic. That is not happening, obviously. Nobody knew he was gone. Congress didn't know. The White House didn't know, and they admitted as much. Joe Biden said that it was what was it?
Do you have confidence in Secretary Austin?
I do.
I'm sorry.
Was it a lapse in judgment for him not to tell you earlier?
Yes.
A lapse in judgment. That lapse of judgment would have cost who knows how many innocent lives. It's unforgivable. It's a fireable offense right then and there. If you were in the military and you were tasked to be on guard duty, hey, here's your sector of fire here and here. Don't fall asleep and don't leave until you're replaced. And you didn't do that, lowest private or corporal or specialist, and you didn't do that, you would be in tremendous trouble. I mean, like in Ranger Battalion, I would fire you on the spot for that. So if it's a basic duty of a lowly private in the military is expected to maintain his post until he's replaced, how much more is one of our highest ranking commanders, second in charge of our defense forces? Now, worse still, Kathleen Hicks, that's our Deputy Secretary of Defense, she was on a vacation in Puerto Rico, and she wouldn't know that she was now all of a sudden in charge of everything until the 4th.
If something were to accelerate, the person in charge of taking that was gone.
Yeah, we're involved in 3 wars around the globe right now, and our open border is completely open, and we have known terrorist cells that have breached our border and are operating in the United States right now. If Joe Biden wants to do some big move from a defense standpoint, he doesn't personally do it. He hands it off to his Secretary of Defense, which would be handed into nothing but air right now. Unacceptable. What's frustrating is nothing will happen because if you hold immense amount of power, you have no accountability. This is what drives me crazy with the Biden administration, the corruption with Hunter Biden. This is the problem with Epstein's Island and all those top kings of the earth who are frequenting his island, who are guilty. Very, very frustrating stuff. Now, I want to turn to the question, is our military actually able to protect us now? Is our military still keeping us safe? Or are we a ticking time bomb, a security disaster where the next 9/11 is just around the corner and our systems are down, top commanders are asleep at the wheel, and it's just a matter of time? Is that true? Now, I have reason to believe it is. First off, I think the service member, the average military service member, they're capable of defending our nation. And so rock on. However, you can only do so much when your top leaders are against you. Alexander the Great said he did not fear an army of lions that were led by a sheep, but he did fear an army of sheep that were led by a lion. Anybody that knows anything about military or war, combat, leadership is everything. Everything rises and falls on leadership. That's not just military. That's just the world we live in. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And so you can have brave and capable soldiers, but if they don't have leaders above them that allow them to do the right thing and embolden them to and put them in the right place at the right time with the right mindset, then you are cooked. But at the same time, I have to face the music and look at the average military member. Our force, our military readiness as it stands is less capable today than ever before. Your average soldier nowadays isn't just tasked with closing distance with the enemy to be able to kill them. That's not what they're doing. They're not trying to be the most elite fighting force on the planet. They're obsessed with diversity, equity, and inclusion. The military only survives if it is a meritocracy. All the medals and ribbons and patches that service members wear, that's your meritocracy. Combat doesn't have the benefit of being able to play woke games. Bullets don't care about how victimized you are in whatever intersectional group that you happen to be occupying. Therefore, meritocracy. Be good at shooting, be good at moving, be good at communicating. This is what matters to soldiers. But the average service member, unfortunately, instead of being trained in this type of way, they're being trained in DEI stuff. Secondarily, our service members are less capable than they used to be in that we just don't have enough of them. Military recruitment numbers are down again this year. It was brutal bloodbath last year, and they continue to decline. People don't want to join the military. The propaganda of hating America and denigrating America as evil has done its work long enough that service members don't want to join and risk their life in defense of an evil country. Why would you risk your life defending an evil country? So the military service member now is less capable in that there is less of them and they're playing woke games instead of war games. And the third thing is they are less physically fit. Check out this clip from News Nation.
It's hardly possible to be all you can be in the Army anymore. A new study finds nearly 70% of active service members are overweight. Huge jump, 21% in 2022, 10% in 2012. And obviously, it comes in the middle of a massive recruiting crisis that we've told you about. Here now, retired Marine Matt Sapala. Matt, it's good to see you. I can't quite figure this out. What is it?
Obesity is the easiest form to see lack of discipline, and that comes from the top. In other words, these guys are not taking advantage of the standards that was set before them from veterans that served. And we served with pride. There's a couple of veterans behind me right now. I'm here with my business partners. The way you get ahead and raise standards is association with people who want more and have more. We got to defend our country, and this is a sad reality with American militaries right now is obese.
70%. While that clip was playing, I saw the clip, 70% of service members are obese. I'm like, there's no, does that sound high to you, Ben? That sounds impossibly high. I see the number. I'm like, I don't believe it. So while that clip was playing, I just did another little fact check here and I looked it up and here it is. Military Times, nearly 70% of active service members are overweight. This is militarytimes.com, October 13th, 2023. That is unbelievable to me. They are more likely to die from their next cheeseburger than a bullet from a terrorist gun. We are not serious about national security anymore. Additionally, our technology is slipping. This really came across my radar early last year. Let me play you a clip that should be sobering. Here, check it out. This is CNN.
3, 2, 1, ignition.
A report last year finding America's missile defense system, the nation's best, perhaps only line of defense, only succeeds about half the time.
If North Korea were to fire nuclear-armed ICBMs at the United States, we cannot be assured that our missile defense system would prevent the deaths of millions.
A U.S. Missile Defense Agency report last year said the missile defense system has demonstrated a measured capability to defend the United States, deployed forces, and allies from a rogue nation's missile attack. But that rogue nation has a fast-growing arsenal. Kim Jong-un's military is mass-producing ICBMs. He knows a barrage of ballistic missiles could be too much for the U.S. to shoot down.
Now, this is scary enough. This is horrifying right here. But to add to it as well, our enemies are always pressing with countless cyber attacks that are happening under our nose all the time. I understand some of our enemies are already using and have been using for quite some time artificial intelligence to demoralize the American people, to launch their own propaganda and misinformation and disinformation campaigns against us. We know TikTok is just a big Chinese psyop, but we love it because yay, TikTok. I see service members less capable. I see us losing ground in the technology front. And then this is probably even the worst one because it requires this one to turn the other two around. And that is our top military commanders are not actually serious about defending American life. I'm deflated, but I'm emboldened. I'm passionate because this matters immensely. I'm coming to grips with, I don't feel so safe in America anymore. I used to. Stuff can happen. Stuff slips through the cracks. But now the cracks seem wider than the pieces of wall. And that is a scary thought.